If your child ignores you every time you ask them to clean up. If you find yourself repeating the same thing again and again, and nothing changes. You might not be dealing with a difficult child. You might be accidentally teaching them not to listen. For a long time, I thought my child just didn't listen. I would ask nicely. Then I would repeat. Then I would raise my voice. And eventually, I would get angry. But the more I pushed, the less my child cooperated. Until one day, I realized something uncomfortable. It wasn't just my child's behavior. It was my pattern. And what I discovered changed everything. Because there are actually a few parenting habits, very common ones that quietly teach children to disconnect, resist, and even shut down. And most of us don't even realize we're doing them. 1. When you become a source of fear, there was a moment I still remember clearly. My child had toys all over the floor. I asked once, no response. I asked again, still nothing. And then I snapped. My voice got louder. My tone is sharper. And suddenly, my child froze. Not listening. Not responding. Just frozen. At that time, I thought, see, this is why I have to be strict? But now I understand something completely different. A child is biologically wired to seek you out for safety. But when your reactions become unpredictable, intense, or even slightly frightening, you become both the safe place and the threat. And that creates something psychologists call fear without escape. The child's nervous system gets stuck. Should I go toward my parents for comfort, or should I protect myself? And when a child is in that state, they're not ignoring you. They literally cannot process you. 2. When your reactions are unpredictable, looking back, I realized something else. Some days, I was patient, calm, understanding. Other days, I wasn't. I was tired, overwhelmed, and quicker to react. Sometimes I laughed things off. Other times, I responded strongly to the same behavior. To me, it made sense. I was just being human, dealing with stress, responsibilities, and everything else going on in my life. But to my child, it was confusing. Because children don't just learn from what you say. They learn from patterns. They watch. They notice. They try to make sense of what to expect next. And if your responses keep changing, if the same action gets a different reaction every time they stop trying to understand you, they stop predicting. And when a child can't predict what will happen, they don't feel secure. So eventually they stop responding. Not because they don't care. Not because they're being difficult. But because they don't feel safe enough to engage. Or confident enough to get it right. And in that uncertainty, they begin to pull away instead of leaning in. 3. When daily life feels chaotic, there was also something I didn't notice at first. Our routine was inconsistent. Some days had structure. Other days were rushed, noisy, unpredictable. Meals weren't always at the same time. Bedtime shifted, and everything felt slightly unstable. At first, I thought, this is normal life. But for a child, this matters more than we think. Because structure isn't about control. It's about safety. When a child doesn't know what comes next, their brain stays in a low-level state of stress. And when the brain is busy trying to feel safe, it can't focus. I7'd. Or cooperate. So again, what looks like disobedience is often just overwhelming. 4. When we miss their inner world. One of the hardest realizations for me was this. I was focused on behavior, but I was missing emotion. When my child didn't listen, I tried to fix the action. Pick it up. Do it now. How many times do I have to say it? But I wasn't asking, what is my child feeling right now? Because sometimes a child isn't ignoring you. They're overwhelmed, tired, disconnected, or simply not ready to transition. And when their inner world is not seen, they slowly disconnect from you and from themselves. 5. When we overcontrol or overhelp. There was another subtle habit I didn't notice at first. I would step in too quickly, fix things before they even became problems, correct every small mistake, push for what I believed was the right behavior. At the time, it felt like I was helping, like I was guiding my child in the right direction. But looking back, I can see something different. In doing that, I wasn't giving my child space to pause, to think, to decide, or even to try and fail. And over time, something unexpected started to happen. The more I stepped in, the less my child stepped forward. The more I corrected, the less my child engaged. Simple things turned into resistance. Not because my child didn't care, but because there was no room left for them to take ownership. Because control, even when it comes from a place of love, can feel overwhelming to a child. It can quietly send the message, "You can't do this without me." And when a child begins to believe that, they stop trying not out of defiance, but out of disconnection. Everything started to change when I tried something different. Instead of raising my voice, I softened it. Instead of repeating the same command, I got closer. Instead of saying, "Clean this up now," I said, "Hey, let's do this together." And something unexpected happened. My child looked at me, not away, not frozen, but present. There was no resistance, no tension, just cooperation. Not perfect, but real. And that's when I realized children don't respond to control. They respond to connection. If you've ever felt this way, frustrated, repeating yourself, and wondering why nothing works, you're not alone. Let me know in the comments what's one thing your child does that you keep repeating every day. And if this is something you've been struggling with, stay with me because what helped me change this was surprisingly simple. First, be the safe place. Lower your voice. Slow down your reaction. Make your presence feel safe even when correcting. The second change, be consistent. Your child doesn't need perfection. They need predictability. Same tone, same response, same support. The third change is to create a simple structure, not strict, just stable. Meals, sleep, transitions. Predictability reduces resistance. Fourth is to see before you correct, before fixing behavior. Ask, what is my child feeling right now? Connection first. Correction second. Last, guide. Don't control. Support your child. But don't take over. Let them try. Let them learn. If your child isn't listening, it doesn't always mean they're difficult. Sometimes it means they're overwhelmed. Sometimes it means they don't feel safe enough to respond. And sometimes it means they're reacting to something we didn't even realize we were doing. But the good news is this: the moment you change your approach, your child changes. 2. Because what children need most? There is no more control. It's more connected. If this helped you see your child differently today, subscribe because this channel is about helping you understand what's really happening behind your child's behavior so you can respond in a way that actually works.